Mr. Phillips. I'm Carl Perkins. I drove down here from Jackson, come to play you a couple of tunes.
Well, what you got?
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go!
I'm Michael Malarkey, and I play Elvis Presley in the show.
My name is Bill Ward, and I play Sam Phillips.
My name is Derek Hagan, and I play Johnny Cash.
When you're kissing me, even when you hold me tight.
It's based around one night, December the 4th, 1956, when Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis and Carl Perkins were together in a recording studio for the one and only time of their lifetimes. And they played together for about an hour and a half. They played an awful lot of tunes and they had an awful lot of fun.
Jerry Lee Lewis, Fairday, Louisiana.
Johnny Cash, Kingsland, Arkansas.
I keep the ends out for the tie that binds, because...
I spend most of my time talking. I'm watching these guys being fantastic. But I was going to say about the music is raw. And rock and roll was raw. Rock and roll was the punk of its time. And so when this music came along, nobody had ever heard anything like it ever before. This is where modern music starts. But before this period, you've got crooning, you've got jazz, you've got very nice, easygoing, easy listening music. And rock and roll was an absolute jump start, a complete step change to anything that had ever happened before. So Jerry Lee Lewis was getting banned all over the place. Elvis was only shot on television from the hips up. All sorts of extraordinary stuff was going on, and it was a really remarkable period of music. And Sam Phillips, who used to run Sun Records, he's famous for recording everything live. So that's why this works as a show, because we're based in his recording studio, but he's getting all these guys live and raw.
By the riverside, down by the riverside, I'm gonna study war no more.
After the war, this music really took off, and people were just looking for an excuse to just escape into something. And the whole thing behind the show as well is it's a celebration of life and rock, which is what people wanted then, which is kind of paralleling what's going on now. So
and being young.
And being young.
Yeah.
And having a party.
It was the dawn of the first teenager. We were in James Dean time. Do you know what I mean? Nobody had done music like this before. No one had taken these risks. No one had really sung about sex. Do you know what I mean?
Sax.
Yeah, sax.
Sax. No one had sung about saxophones.
Or now, in fact. But you know what I mean? Everything up until I've got loads of old blues records which are about rude blues, about all of the metaphors for sex that you could ever have. So I've got one which is called "Banana in My Fruit Basket," and so. But here you actually had people for the very first time talking about that stuff and singing about it, and that's why people called it the devil's music. That's why it got banned in states. That's why there were laws passed against in various states to kind of to wipe it out.
And obviously, also it's very physical.
Yeah.
Which
and that's
people
what rock
looked
and
as
roll.
kind of them conjuring demons or something.
Yeah.
Elvis shaking around with his eyes closed and stuff.
But rock and roll was a euphemism for sex, and that's why, because it's kind of sexy. It's the sexy music of the time, and that's why it was such a remarkable kind of thing, because everything had been so undercover in theatrical terms. Everything had been Terence Rattigan up until this point. It's there, but it's suppressed. An hour and a half of high octane rock and roll.
Yeah. A lot of people have said it's like a gig. It's like being at a gig. But then they love the story. They learn about Sam Phillips. A lot of people don't know very much about him, and it's his story more than anybody else.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's about the birth of rock and roll.
Yeah,
and it's about, and you'll learn so much. The music is fantastic, and the music sells the show. But you'll also learn loads of stuff that you never knew along the way about Elvis, about Johnny Cash, about Jerry Lee, and about Carl Perkins.
Yeah.
Especially about Carl Perkins, one of the great unsung heroes
of music.
Yeah.
He was, So you learn, so it is about the music, and the music is extraordinary, but you might learn something along the way.
Yeah.
Rock and roll ain't a fad, it's a damn revolution.